13th of February 2024. This is a loose cannon. Cannot be anything else. The reality is that South Africa is on the brink of a national disaster. And there's people that think that doom and gloom and that, but that's not it. Look at the realities. Just look at the realities. The infrastructure of the country has been destroyed. There's very little that is still functioning. Railways are done, harbours are done, steel industry is done, roads are done, the health services is so dodgy. Nothing is really functioning anymore. In the places where these things are functioning, it is mostly private citizens that came together and made sure that certain aspects in and around their communities are still functioning. That's it. The presence of government is basically not to be seen. They have got a half a grip on law and order, but it is applied selectively, and in most instances it does not resolve issues, it turns up the heat on issues. We're sitting with a youth that is unemployed. Reality is a vast portion of that youth is unemployable because they're not educated, they don't have skills. But you can do nothing about that because the base industries that are known to be transferring skills to people has been destroyed. We are also now faced with the nightmare that the mining sector is going to collapse. And people do not pay attention to the fact that if that happens, it is going to be a massive disaster for the country. But these ANC cadres in charge, they don't give a fuck. They just carry on with their shit as they like, as if there is no tomorrow. But the reality is that the population is suffering like hell. And then, on instruction of their XXX masters, these cadres in control is poisoning society with racial tensions, religious tensions, ethnic tensions, cultural tensions. They select these points quite masterful that incite unrest, strife and friction among the people. Why do they do it? Because they know as long as the people are being kept busy with this shit, they will not pay attention to what XXX is actually doing to them and their futures. The Bella Bill is a clear sign of the determination to destroy education totally. I'm in a discussion with a black guy about education and things like that, and we talked about that video that's going around in which there's now again made references to where the white civilization was when they arrived in South Africa, and they found almost no signs of civilization in Africa, here in the southern Africa. And he is of the opinion that why do I think that the white civilization is better than what they had when we arrived here? And that statement made me think a lot. And I realized that one of the big problems that we are faced with is that people still think that all people are the same. All people are not the same. The guy that I discussed it with, his view on these educational and civilizational advances is to be questioned. So I came to the conclusion that, okay, so the white civilization was enforced onto an unwilling black population. And what we are seeing today confirms my viewpoint in that the blacks, yes, the blacks, have destroyed the infrastructure, they've destroyed the economic and industrial base, they destroyed the health system, they destroyed the education system. And they do that in an effort to bring South Africa back to the civilization level where they are comfortable. Now, we have to accept it because they have the numbers. What is there left for us to do? The only thing that is left for us is self-isolation into environments and areas where we can maintain an acceptable level of civilization and let the rest of them swim in that dark pool, because that's where they like it, that's where they feel comfortable. And now there's a lot of people that's going to blow their tops, but that's the facts. Look at the fucking facts. Look at the facts. They are destroying everything that resembles civilization. And in that destruction actions, I can only deduct is that they want an uncivilized environment, basically a barbaric environment. And if you look at their conduct, how barbaric they are in the execution of their unhappiness, you have to accept that they are comfortable in that low civilized environment. They want to kill animals in their backyard and do the rituals that they like. That's what they want. They don't place any value in education. That's why the school system, education premises, all of that is so easily destroyed. They burn libraries, things like that. So what we have here in South Africa is a small group that embraces the Western civilization level, and a large majority that longs for the uncivilized barbaric environment, the time of the barbarians. That's where they are comfortable. And nobody have got the guts to stand on a public platform and address the real issue of IQ. Now, I'm not saying all whites are bright and all blacks are dumb. I'm not saying that. In every one of those groups are bright people and dumb people. The problem is, in the white groups, the social management gave the power to the bright ones. And they, the bright ones, managed that society, planned and built the society. And that is why the whites as a collective could build up South Africa into the force that it was. But after '94, the blacks took over. And unfortunately, they did not pick the bright ones in their society to manage the system. They picked the dumb ones in the society. So the dumb ones has got all the executive powers. And the bright ones are too fucking coward to challenge them. Why is that? That you have to ask them themselves. Because in the white society, the bright ones always spoke up, and they made sure that the dumb ones never got control of anything. But in the black society, the dumb ones has got all the control, and the bright ones are cowering in their little corners, doing exactly what we as a white collective is now forced to do. They build their own little clever black islands, and they live in that environment, and they tell one another things are okay. In the meantime, the ship is sinking. So I don't know where it's going to end. What we have to prepare ourselves for is a total collapse of the state, and it will happen. And I'm of the opinion it is not going to happen slowly. It's been happening slowly since 1994, but we've now reached a point where the collapse is going to be sudden, because the ANC has lost a large portion of their traditional support. The fault lines in the ANC is now splitting, and in the black communities there are clear signs that they They're not no longer going to go along with this ANC thing. And there is strong signs, very clear signs, of black nationalism appearing in all the different black nations. They are done with the chaos, but they know that they can only really survive if they are in charge of their own future. What we have seen in the Zulu nation is a severe fuck up. There's no other word for it, because Triple X, through their puppets, has managed to hijack and capture the Zulu royal house. I mean, how absolutely ridiculous is it that the Zulu king needs Cyril Ramaphosa's blessing and permission to be the king of the Zulus? The Zulu king bowing to Ramaphosa. What the fuck is that? Where is the Zulu pride? But let me not focus on the Zulus only. Although I don't know the other tribes well, I don't know them well. I don't know their inner workings and so forth. The information that I'm getting is that they are also restless, and they are also getting angry for the fact that their traditional royal structures has been prostituted by Triple X and its puppets. This is not going to last long, because the people are getting wiser and wiser every day. So, to you as an individual, and I'm not talking now race, you better make sure that you prepare yourself for that day of disaster when this government collapses. Because criminal gangs is going to run the show. And those criminal gangs will only be controlled, constrained, and wiped out by the tribes. The tribes will wipe them out. So, be prepared for that. You need to take into consideration that we're sitting on a powder keg. And there are reckless people around you playing with matches. And it's going to take one match to make that powder keg explode. The black people, and I'm talking to the clever blacks, you guys better focus and make a decision. Are you going to help your societies, or are you going to hope that you will float away on a lifeboat when the shit hits the fan? My opinion is you're not going to get far with that lifeboat. So, take a good look at yourself, take a good look at your capabilities and abilities, and make a decision whether you're going to assist your nation or whether you're going to jump ship. And something that you have to take special notice of, very special notice. This child grant, I've labeled it as a breeding program. Why is not a single politician talking about it? Because there's a simple rule in nature. You have to look at the carrying capacity of everything that is the base of your plants. If a farmer decides he's going to breed cattle, the first thing that he needs to make sure of is that his land has the carrying capacity for a financially viable herd of cattle. You cannot put 1,000 head of cattle on a 200 hectare farm. You can't do that. The same thing in the Karoo, you are limited to how many sheep you can keep per hectare. Those are nature's reality. But if you look at what is happening in South Africa with the population, this breeding program, this SASA breeding program, is breeding people by the millions on a carrying capacity that cannot sustain them. At this moment, they are being kept alive artificially. You have to go and figure out for yourself who is providing that artificial sustenance and support, and then try and figure out how quickly that support and sustenance can be taken away, because it will be taken away. because those puppeteers, Triple X, they're not stupid, and they will not invest money into a project that is not going to deliver a return. Think about that, let that sink in, and ask yourself, the day when the support plug on the sausage generation is pulled, what is the results going to? Please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. Thank you for your support.